Fear, 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 fear. This is one of those topics that we all experience, we all fall victim to, and most people don't understand and don't realize how much it might be running your life, running the show every single day and keeping you small, keeping you stuck, keeping you feeling like you want so badly to change, like you have all of these goals, and yet having this incredible amount of resistance and blockages. So we can't ignore it. And that's what we're talking about in today's episode. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for being here, for pressing play. And I know that I say this a lot. Trust me, I'm aware of this, but you will not regret pressing play on this episode. Holy smokes, I just got off my interview with my coach who graciously said yes to coming, well, one of my coaches who graciously said yes to coming to talk with you guys today on all of these different topics: fear, resistance, identity, perspective. Like there's so much, okay? And I'm buzzing right now because there's so much that runs the show beneath the surface, right? Like, and these are things that I experience too. We have all of these goals. We look at other people who are achieving the goals that we want to achieve. And of course, in the context of this podcast, it might be you look at people who have a healthy relationship with food, who maybe have overcome eating disorders, who are no longer chronically dieting, who are experiencing this food freedom. And you look at them and you look at the actions that they're taking and you think, okay, seems simple enough. And then you have these goals. And for some reason, it's like there's a freaking block. There is a wall that is not allowing you to either take the next action, take the next steps, or to do what you quote unquote know that you should be doing. And so you know that this podcast is about talking about those hidden elements, those things that are going on underneath the surface, because I don't do fluff, and I don't want to just give you more action steps and tell you what to eat and what not to eat, because you and I both know that doesn't work. And as long as you don't address what's holding you back and going on subconsciously, you're going to keep repeating the same patterns. So I love getting to bring some really awesome guests to you. And this was really fun because, as you'll kind of hear me talk at the beginning, Danya is one of my coaches. So I have, how many coaches do I have at this point? I have one main coach who you'll hear us talk about, James. And I've been under his mentorship for 2 years, 3 years, 3.5 years, 4 years. I don't even know. And then I've got 10 or 8 assistant coaches. And she's one of my assistant coaches. And she's just the queen of shifting my perspective. Because the truth is that no matter how much work you do and how much you understand about the subconscious mind and your nervous system, every single person has blind spots. And this is why I stand firm that every person on this planet should have a coach, should have someone who can reflect back the things that you don't see, the patterns that you keep repeating, and the hidden reasons why you keep repeating them. So I love and also hate going to her calls because sometimes she calls me out and she tells me things that I don't want to hear. And that's what I need, because if I just keep hearing the things that I want to hear, then I'm just going to keep repeating the same patterns. And that's not what I want. I want to be challenged. I want my perspective to change. And she is the queen of that. So a little bit about Danya, and she'll tell you more about her story, but she's a former Olympic athletic therapist turned speaker, podcaster, and go-to mindset expert. So she blends concepts and techniques from spirituality, universal laws, neuroscience, subconscious reprogramming, quantum physics, high performance to really help people get out of their own way, to release those emotional blocks, to get out of stuckness so that they can perform at a higher level. And that's what you want, right? That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to this podcast, is you want to get unstuck. You want to learn how to get out of your own way. So we covered so much in our conversation that I needed to cut it into two parts because I wanted to make sure that you could digest the concepts, that you can apply it. I also recommend that you take some notes. I love getting DMs from you guys telling me that you take notes while listening to the podcast. That is so freaking awesome. And it tells me that you're such an action taker, that you're not just passively listening, that you're bringing all of this into your life, integrating it, implementing it. So cool. So I wanted to make sure that you could do the same with this conversation. And like I said, we talk about big topics. We talk about fear and intention and blocks and perspective shifts and the meaning that you assign to your challenges and your struggles. And just it's such a beautiful conversation. So without further ado, you're going to hear part one of this amazing conversation with Danya Douglas Hunt. Okay, yay. So I have one of my coaches here, which is really fun. And I was just telling you before we started recording that one of the things that always I find super valuable when we have our coaching calls is that I go into it with a certain perspective and we get really caught up in like our own box of thinking, our own ways of thinking. And we think that that's the only way of thinking. And you always manage to open my perspective. And so I'm really looking forward to you doing that with my audience today, because I know that some of them get stuck in that. So before we get started, you have a really cool history when it comes to where you started. So can you tell our listeners a little bit more about like how you got into this mindset, nervous system type of work?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. I love it. I love what we're going to get into. I know we were talking a bit before the call, whether this goes into coaching or perspectives, which I'm here for everything. But how I got into this, okay, so my whole background was athletics. I grew up being an athlete, and at the time, I just followed what felt natural. So I was like, well, I'm an athlete. And then I figured out you could work with athletes. So I was like, great, I'm going to do that. So I went to school for athletic therapy and strength and conditioning, got my specialized degree in that, and then landed my dream job pretty early out of the gates, which was working with Olympic athletes, and worked with Swimming Canada, Rugby Canada, triathlon, paratriathlon, a lot of different sports, diving as well. And I loved it. I was helping those athletes. They already were really great at what they do. And I was just helping facilitate what we'd call physical autonomy. And a part of that, if you've ever been an athlete, you've been treated by someone, if you've had an injury, you recognize that you get pretty close with your therapist, strength and conditioning coach. Like you're there and you're most vulnerable. You just blew out your ACL. And now you have this person here treating you and getting you back on the field or getting you back on the diving board. And so I was really good at doing that. However, I remember going through school and every teacher I had was like, wow, you're really good at connecting with people. Like you're really good at kind of seeing the unseen, and you're really good at making people feel all these like intangible skills that you don't get taught. Like I'm like, I know anatomy, I know the injuries, I know the running joke was I didn't know how to swim. Like, okay, I can keep my body afloat, but here I am working with Olympic swimmers, but I could tell you everything about the technique, everything about where something was going to break down, where I needed to help strengthen certain muscles or systems to help them actually refine what they're already doing. However, your girl couldn't swim or shit. So it was funny to be like, you can be an expert in certain areas, but then when it comes to actually jumping in the pool, that wasn't my forte. However, with that closeness with people, with soft skills that I always just grew up with, like intuition and understanding people and recognizing patterns, I really got fascinated with mindset. And I really got fascinated with neuroscience and spirituality and universal laws and intuition and subconscious, like all the stuff that there was no school or degree for. Like psychology kind of tapped onto it, but not really. And then as you're working with these athletes, again, being vulnerable, let's say you just blow your ACL, which is a knee injury, you're on the table getting treated. Athletes get to a certain point where they're like almost about to return to play. And maybe you've experienced before, like your injury is like, hey, I'm feeling really good. You go from not being able to walk to like now walking. And then there's this fine edge where if you push it too hard, you're back to square one. Or if you don't push it enough, you're not progressing your rehab. So long story long, I would be working with athletes mainly around their fear, right? So the rehab's easy. Follow the plan, trust the plan. I'll tweak the plan. Okay, this happened today. Let's tweak this. That's the easy part. The physicality part's easy. What would hold a lot of athletes back, even at the high level, or what would get in the way of them medaling or making the Olympic team was not the physicality. At that level, everyone has the top 1%, the top 1%. You have a team around you supporting you, nutritionists, psychologists, doctors, various like strength conditioning, chiro, physio, all the stuff, right? And so I was like, interesting. What would hold an athlete back at that high level or slow them down, or they would make qualifying times in practice, but then when they go to actually qualify, they'd flub? Like, what is that? And it was recognizing, okay, the stuff that, again, you couldn't really name, it's like the fear. And then I got really curious about what is this? Like, how can I coach someone through fear, pressure, stress? The rehab part's easy, but how is that athlete now going to trust their knee to go tackle on the rugby pitch? That mind stuff that's going down, the programming that happens. And so that was kind of the pivot tweak into it. But then I joined different coaching programs because I wanted to help more people. I wanted to help more athletes. I wanted to just help bigger scale. Then I got into James's program at some point, and then James actually coached me through my own pivot, brutal awakening of like, oh, I don't want to do this. I love the fear, like the stuff I was listening before. I don't actually like the research on ACLs, and it could be bothered to look at a spreadsheet again and create someone's program. And so I just jumped into really diving deep into everything you can about human performance in terms of nervous system, fear, subconscious mind, intuition, spiritual laws, using high performance. And now I get to work with they're the Olympians of business, right? Like a high level entrepreneur is the exact same as a high level Olympic athlete. You're just playing a different game. So for me, I get to recognize what's holding you back. And I'm privileged to work with people who are causing change in the world and creating a massive ripple effect and creating lots of wealth and impact for their lives, their families' lives, and their clients. And I'm doing the exact same thing I did on the physical pitch, just I'm not doing anything with your body anymore. It's just all about the mind and uncovering what's holding you back from scaling, from moving forward, from putting yourself out there. And it's always ourselves that hold us back. So that was about 5 years ago. I fully pivoted to just entrepreneurs. And I do work with high level athletes still too. It's just anyone who's looking to perform at a certain level or achieve a certain thing. And I just got to come help you recognize what's holding you back and how do I help you get there. It's nothing what we think.
It's so good. And like, I didn't really know where this was going to go, but that topic of fear is so important because
everything, baby.
It's everything. It really is everything. And I remember when I was so deep in my eating disorder, I was consumed by fear on both sides. You're like terrified of where you are. And I hear that in my clients all the time. You're terrified of your current situation. And it really gets to a point where it's like, which fear is louder? The fear of staying where you are or the fear of doing something you've never done and jumping into uncertainty.
Yeah. And I think too, which fears we've all, okay, like we're not, if people listen to your podcast or you're coached by you, we're not new to like, what's fear? And like, there's like different acronyms for fear, but the nuance that I would love people to understand is understanding what's actually driving the fear. Because we think it's the thing, right? So if entrepreneurs, ironically, it's like more money is fearful. It brings up a lot of stuff. That's why I love working with money and like mastering your money frequency. It's just a mirror for what's actually underneath the surface. And let's bring it to maybe a physical example, because you guys have heard this before. Injury with the body, right? Unless you get tackled and it's like a very obvious mechanism, like rugby athlete gets tackled at the knee, that's what caused the knee injury. Injuries that are chronic or come up are never to do with the actual site of pain. The site of pain you experience is the symptom, but it's not the cause of what's creating the injury, right? So a runner running all the time might have a knee pain, but the knee is not actually where the cause of the knee pain is. It could be their foot mechanics, their shoe, their hip, their opposite side toe. Like it can be. And so with entrepreneurs and people building up businesses, we think the problem in quotations or the issue is going to be like, it's my money, Danya, it's my money mindset, or and he's like, it's nothing to do with that ever. And so when we think of fear, which is fun because we can talk, if you want to go into like what happens in the body when fear happens, etc., you let me know. Just take this where you want, Sabrina.
Mm-hmm.
But when you recognize that, okay, so here's, I'm nervous to go all in, or I'm nervous to like, what happens if I stay here? What happens if I do something totally different? That's the first initial response to it. But it's actually the thing underneath that. Like, how many times have you been in coaching calls where it's like, here's my thing. And I'm like, it's not your thing to everyone. Like, it's actually something way different. Let's uncover what's actually driving the intention behind the fear. And fear can be masked as overthinking, perfectionism, fear of failure, fear of success. These are all just words we use to describe the same thing that's happening physiologically in the body, which is you're feeling your nervous system, your heart rate kick up, you're maybe breathing shallow. Your body's just essentially going to fight or flight. But what people don't recognize is stress is fear, worry is fear, overthinking is fear, perfectionism is fear. And so just by like, just go do the thing, that can be one aspect of it, and action definitely helps. But we actually got to recognize, what is the subconscious mind or my body trying to tell me there's a threat, something's not safe, and actually get to the root of what's driving it versus just focusing on the scary action or bypassing it with working harder or more strategy. And that's where I find very self-aware, smart, successful entrepreneurs trip themselves up. They're really smart. They know how to work hard. They got all the strategy in the world. That's not the issue. I guarantee you it's not the issue. So it's looking right underneath the hood of what's actually driving that fear in the first place. And once you clear that and shift that, game on. Things change.
It's so true, because I can very much relate to that. And especially, I was just telling you, in the past few months, I have been consumed by fear on a daily basis. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. And I think a lot of people are so scared of feeling that fear. And they think that, I often hear people who they hear about, let's say, this new approach to food, this new approach to eating, and they're like, okay, everything sounds like exactly what I need. I'm so aligned. This is my next step. And then comes the point where you actually have to make that decision. There comes that like crossroads point where it's like, okay, now I'm following my words with the actions, and immediately your body freezes up. You you made it all the way to like that 99% mark. And then it's that 1% that actually requires you to take that action that freezes you up. And then you get consumed by fear, because now it's like it goes from being just theory to actually bringing that into your life. And that fear, we think that it's wrong, that we shouldn't be feeling this. And if we're feeling fear, it means that this must be wrong and I should be moving away from that.
Totally. My brain's like, I want to go like 10 different ways here, because I think what might be helpful is recognizing what that sign is. So you brought in the beginning perspective shifting. If you can begin to see what's actually happening in mind and body, where most people are going to feel that fear, the mind drama. What the heck? I can't do this. Should I do this? Like, we all been there before. We're going.
And then we go into our past, all
domino
our past,
effects. Yes.
the
Like,
stories.
this happened.
Yeah.
What's this person going to think? All the stuff, right? Mind drama. I just call mind drama. We've all experienced that. We've also all experienced the physiology of that, like the blushing in the cheeks, the dripping in sweat, the oh fuck moment, the heart racing, the stress. Like, for me, when I get really stressed, my whole body feels like it's vibrating, but not in a nice way. It's like I can just feel it pulsing. When most people experience that, their first initial thing is, when they don't recognize what's causing it and why it's happening, is oh fuck. It's the oh no. And what happens is, with a lack of understanding or a forgetting, the ignorance of actually what's happening in mind and body, which is the most beautiful orchestration of your body doing exactly what it's designed to do. When we don't know what's actually happening, it's a, oh fuck, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? I'm working really hard. I've got all the strategy. Like, why can this person figure it out? I'm way smarter than them, and I'm working harder than them, and it comes easy. Like, all of the stuff comes up. So in that moment, to go back to your first thing of shifting perspective, see it for what's actually happening, not for what you're wanting to make it mean. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a couple of things, Sabrina. You like tell me if you want more or less.
Go for it. Go for it.
Let's give you some examples. So I have a framework called the results paradigm. It explains this a lot deeper, but I'm going to give you what's called the ABC intro method. Okay, so a couple concepts we have to get on board with first, and then I'm going to actually explain what's happening in mind and body really quickly, so you can begin to see that signal of like mind drama physiology as just something different. Reason being is, ABC. Okay. So A is the circumstance. A is your bank account. A is the number on your scale. A is, it's just what is. It's a fact. There's no meaning. There's no emotions. It's just, I got 2 refunds today. I made $10,000 today. I ate 2,000 calories today, whatever it is. That's just a fact.
Mhm.
So imagine a reporter is just reporting a fact.
And for the
And we're
listeners,
angry.
it could be I binged today
Yes.
or I restricted
Even
today.
that though, like what is binging? They'd have to define binging.
Yeah.
Like, because
True.
that could be, oh my God, I had a muffin today, I binged, or I like 18 Big Macs and I binged. So for you, even define it further, like get it down to more facts. So what else, what other facts might they be? Define the
So
binge.
it's funny that
So
you say that because I'll often hear people, especially my clients, tell me, oh, like I binged and I stopped then. I'm like, but did you really? Like, explain to
yes,
me exactly what happened. And they'll be like, I ate to a point of discomfort.
great.
Great.
Yes,
Wonderful. That's not necessarily a binge.
totally. So I love this. And I'm so glad you brought that up because it's a fact. State the fact. When I say I binged, it could be still an opinion
Mm-hmm.
because what's a binge for you is not a binge for someone else. And it's how you define it, which this formula is going to help you begin shifting this. So A is the fact. It is circumstance. It is a reporter just saying there's no emotion, there's no meaning, there's no lack of interpretations. It's literally just like 1 + 1 = 2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
B is us. Woohoo. B is the definition or the meaning we're going to give A. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple examples. And then C is the experience of it. This is just kind of the watered down version of my longer framework. But if you can even just begin to challenge us and understand this, it's going to shift your experience of already what you're going through today. So, okay. If I'm like, Danya, okay, I had 5 donuts today and I don't really know the meaning I'm giving it, but my experience is one of like shame or guilt, or I feel heavy or like, ugh. I can then go, okay, I've got A. I know you're like, I don't come here to do freaking math, Danya. Just stick with me. Write this down on a piece of paper if you need to. So A is a fact. I ate 5 donuts today. I don't really know B yet, but I know C, my experience is like shame, guilt, I feel like crap, whatever that is, your experience of it, however you want to describe that. I can look at, okay, I've got 2 pieces here. What potentially could be B? Definition or meaning? Okay, oh, I'm a failure. Or, oh, fuck, I screwed up again. Or,
What's wrong with me? I can't do
yes,
anything
what's wrong
right.
with me?
Yeah.
This. So notice, again, concept number 1, nothing has any meaning except the meaning you give it. If you can just write that down and really, really grasp that and just play with it, it can mean 18,000 different things. Your brain is wired for survival, for keeping you safe, for keeping you to what it knows. So going back to the pattern you brought up of like, oh, I know these things, this program and this plan is for me, but if it's different to you, your brain's going to see anything different, anything change, even though you consciously know it's a good thing, like making more money, going from 5,000 a month to 50,000 a month. Daniel, I want that. Consciously you do, but your subconscious mind, nervous system don't understand that that's still safe. It's still different and a change to the mind and body. So it's going to see it as a threat. To the brain, it's going to see it as a lion. So your dream body, how you want to feel in your clothes, whatever the goal is, if you haven't normalized that, or that's different than your current paradigm, your brain's going to see that as a lion trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're like, what the F? Stick with me here. So if nothing has any meaning except for the meaning I give it, I can choose to get a different meaning. Well, there's nothing wrong with me because my brain, I'm now learning or remembering that my brain is wired for looking for the negative bias. Every minute of every day, it is scanning every bit of information, like billions of bits of information. The look of someone give you, the sound, everything's just coming in. And all it's doing is filtering through your own filters, your own past beliefs, your own past identities, your own past experiences, memories, everything within ourselves. And it's going, what's trying to kill me? What's trying to kill me? What's trying to kill me? What's different? Oh, I don't know this thing. So, and it's just alerting you. But the alert that we first experience is, what's wrong with me? My heart's racing. Versus like, oh no, your brain's just doing its job. It's doing its job. It's not designed for this beautiful, sophisticated world. It's designed for the jungle. However, our conscious brain, which is like, Danny, I know I'd feel better. I know I'd like to make more money. I know I'd like to XYZ. That's your conscious brain. It's only responsible for like 2 to 5%.
Mm-hmm.
Your subconscious runs everything. And I'm going to give some examples to anchor it in. And don't worry, we'll get back to ABC, but I got to kind of do these side tangents to link it all together. So, okay, nothing has any meaning except the meaning I give it. How I define something, concept 2, how I define something is going to create my experience of it. If I say something's hard, guess what you're going to experience? is going to be hard. This is
Mhm.
why I challenge everyone. I'm like, words and thoughts carry frequency, and it shifts how you feel. For example, when I am telling myself or I'm defining certain things as like a game and like, just have fun, let's just play around and fuck around and find out. Whatever I'm about to do is going to be in that typical experience. And I
Mhm.
tend to take different actions that are maybe a bit more bold, more fun, don't care. This was me in improv. I had no goals. I just was like, let's just go look silly and try shit. Because I defined it that way, that was my experience of it.
Mhm.
Most of us don't recognize we have a lot of disempowering definitions, primarily that aren't yours. You witnessed them, had your parents say certain things, and they were well intentioned. We're not blaming anyone. We're just like, how did I get these programs that are causing the filter of how I'm experiencing life right now? It's everything we grew up with, movies we watched. In movies, since I work with entrepreneurs, who's typically the bad guy? The rich person.
Yeah.
Oh, get it's us against them. And so, like, you don't think as a child you're getting programmed. So
Mhm.
most things that trip up my entrepreneurs is like, I don't want to be seen as them. I'm like, it's not. It's just definition. It's not yours. You learned it. So when it comes to your audience, thinking about what did I learn about food? What did I witness? Was my mom really hard on myself? Did my mom have an eating disorder? Was she a control freak with certain things? And I'm witnessing, hold on a sec. I can begin to see where I might be getting it. I had another entrepreneur who has a hard time giving up control. And again, define control. What even is that? And she had a really beautiful background in dance where it was like, oh my gosh, you are scrutinized in dance. How you look. Oh my gosh, you weigh too much. You weigh
You're
too
talking
much.
to a
You're
synchronized
this.
swimmer, so I get
Yes,
it.
totally. And so you can look back and be like, well, wait a second. No shit. I have this belief or program that I'm now becoming aware of. Look what I was told time and time again, showing up for practice. And then also our child brain are like from 0 to 7, 0 to 8. You don't have your critical factor yet. So you can't reject information and be like, my coach Barb's just having a bad day and she's insecure about something else and she's going to take it out on me. You don't think like that. You just see Barb saying, you suck and you're too much weight and you got to come back weighing less and stop being so loud and whatever. Like that's all you're experiencing. And then our subconscious mind goes to make interpretations and meanings of that. And
Mhm.
now, as an adult, when you're going for your goals and you're like, I want to make more money, I want to live my best life, I want to, whatever the goal is, here's where all the patterns come out that you now get to shift and rewire.
Mhm.
So, back to ABC a little bit. If you can just recognize, okay, I don't know what the heck just happened. I know that I'm feeling a certain way. I feel the shame, I feel guilt, I feel mad, I feel angry. Just pause for a sec and write down A plus B equals C. You know the experience. We have that. Now we say, okay, what's the circumstance? And the tricky thing is you have to define that as a fact. So not
Mhm.
I binged today. I ate 3 burrito wraps today. I ate a muffin, whatever the heck your definition. It has to be where someone reads it, everyone is going to get the same answer or the same fact by reading it.
Mhm.
And then you can begin to say, what potentially could letter B be? Maybe it's a belief that might come up, or maybe it's a definition of like, well, hold on, I binged today, but what is my definition of binge? I ate 1,000 calories, I ate 5,000 calories. Like, what is that? And that's going to help begin to uncode what my experience of it is. Here's why nothing has any meaning except the meaning you give it. That's concept one. Concept two is how I define something is going to create my experience of it. So, can you look at the definition, the meaning you gave it, which is B, and potentially ask, what else could it mean? What else could this be?
Mhm.
Let me use an example that's so unrelated because I can feel people need this. And you've heard this before, Serena. When you're driving and someone cuts you off, what's the first thing? Don't lie if you're listening to this podcast. What's the first thing that comes through? You're like, why didn't you see me, you idiot? Like you make it about you, like, wow,
Mhm.
right? Right. So there can be a lot of different meanings. Now, what if I was to give you a bit more context, that picture, and saying that guy was rushing his pregnant wife to the hospital? Does it change? So the circumstances cut off in traffic, like my experience is, wow, what the heck? And I make it mean something about me. Like, didn't you see me, you idiot, you bad driver? Like,
Mhm.
right? What else could it mean? Okay, I said an example, like maybe he's driving his pregnant wife to the hospital. Does that change my experience now? Same circumstance, but does it change my experience if I give it a different meaning or see it differently? A little bit. I'm still a bit chuffed. Okay. What else could it mean? Maybe someone had a bee fly into their car and they're allergic to bees. Okay. Does that change your experience of it now? Yeah, it's changing a little bit. And this is one that gets everyone. What if they just didn't see you? And how many times have I accidentally like cut like perfect blind spot where I go and I accidentally cut someone off and I'm like, and you feel like shit inside. You're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Right. Does that change my experience of the same thing I just had, where the person cut me off in traffic? I made it mean about me something first. My experience is now my whole day's ruined because how many people are now, you're stressed out, you're freaking out, you're thinking about it, you might be telling someone about it. It's just impacting your entire day and it's gone, it's here and done. But your meaning, your definition is creating an experience to last for the rest of the day and however long. If I can say, here's my previous definition of something or my meaning of it, okay, I'm a failure or whatever the definition is, reminding yourself that it's always going to be a negative bias first. That's survival. Your brain's looking out for you to keep you safe. Ask yourself, what else could this mean? How else could I define this? Where did I even get this definition from? Is it mine or someone else's? 9 times out of 10, it's not your own. So going back to the story of, you asked me how I got into what I'm doing. I didn't challenge and question enough things. And there's no regret in my path of coming where I am. I love what I did. I loved working with athletes. I loved traveling and I felt so privileged to get that job so soon. Like it worked my ass off for it, but still very rare that I got it as soon as I did. I wouldn't change anything. So I'm not saying from a place of regret or should whatever. It's more so question and challenge everything. Because had I done that, would I have gone into that space? Probably not. If I learned more about psychology and neuroscience, I might have done something different. But I didn't question, and here's where it relates back to, it was just a program. Go to school, get a degree, get a job, get married, ba-ba-da-ba-da. That was what I was used to, what I was witnessing, what was around me. I didn't challenge and question things. And every day try and challenge and question everything because a lot of us aren't living by our own definitions. Success is one version of that. How do you define success? And be okay with that changing. I had one version of success and I've changed it. I change it every couple of months. Like actually, I did this. I was nomadic. I like this way, but actually I got a bit more clarity and contrast. So now I'm going to richen my definition. I'm going to expand it. I'm going to align it to how I'm aligning and growing as a person myself. So for you, ABC, take that one practice away. Just become aware of what is causing potential activations in your body, mind, drama, physiology. From a simplistic version, I teach a lot more on this. So if you want more, just we can expand. But recognize it's just your body trying to keep you safe into what it knows. Your first meaning and definition is most likely going to be one in the negative, which we'll put in quotations because there's actually no negative or positive. It's just, that's a whole other can of worms. There's no actual good or bad, but how you define something creates that. So just begin to become aware of like, what is this definition? What is this meaning I'm giving it? Okay, this is my fact. This is my experience of it. What's B? Okay, what else could it mean? And come up with like 7 to 10 other meanings of B. And then here's your power. You get to choose whatever the fuck you want to make it mean. Okay, I'm just going to go with the guy didn't see me and man, or maybe he's stressed and having a bad day. And I just was the person he dumped it on. I don't have to agree or like say it's okay, but it's more so like, instead of it ruining my day and affecting the rest of my stuff and bringing my mood down, I'm going to choose the definition I want to give it. And remember concept 1 and concept 2, nothing has any meaning except for the meaning I give it. How I define something creates my experience of it. I don't know about you, but I want to experience life in like where it's amazing. And then like how I want to define things where it actually works for me and keeps me effective and resourceful. When I go on fear and fight or flight, I'm actually becoming dumber. Blood's leaving my brain and it's going to my body to become strong, which means I'm losing access to my resources like intuition, seeing possibilities, creative solutions. I don't ever want to be dumber. But every time I kick off fight or flight, which we talked about in the beginning, what that is, know that's what's happening in the body. So how do I get my body out of fight or flight into parasympathetic? How do I change it so I can just get more access to seeing solutions and creative ideas and possibilities here? As I don't know about you, Sabrina, but no one wants to become dumber or less effective or resourceful, especially if you're scaling your business. It's like, hold on, whoa. But the pressure, the stress, the fear is making that happen in the mind and body. So where do you want to take it? Because we opened up a lot of.
Oh my God, I took so many notes while you were talking. I was like, I don't even know where to start, but I do want to talk about a few things. And what I find that becomes really helpful when you ask yourself, what else could this mean, is sometimes when you're in your own paradigm, it's hard to even think outside the box. So I found that what has been super helpful for me is to channel people I know who think differently than I do. Sometimes I'll ask myself, what would James think of this scenario? And if you're listening, you might even want to use me as an example of like, what would Sabrina think of this scenario? Because if I have a day where I eat more than my body feels is comfortable, my definition has nothing to do with me being a failure or me lacking willpower. It's usually like, oh, well, maybe I didn't eat enough this morning, or maybe I went too long without eating. And so I
Yeah.
love that you mentioned that the meaning that you give it is, first of all, it's always going to be negative, especially if you've lived so much shame, so much guilt and self-blaming around food and your body. And
Mm-hmm.
then to ask yourself, like, or you can even ask yourself the question, if I had a healthy relationship with food, if I had a healthy relationship with my body, what meaning would I give this exact same circumstance? Because
Yeah.
like you said, I think we hold on so much to the meaning and we're like, no, this is the only one right meaning. And it's like, you get to choose. My experience of life is so different from my boyfriend's because he's very much used to like, people are bad drivers or people are slow walkers. And I always think, well, if I was in that driver's position, what would I want other people to think and experience if I
Mm-hmm.
accidentally cut them off or if I
Yeah.
was walking slowly? And it would usually be like, oh, they're probably in a rush, or maybe they're late for an appointment, or they're walking slowly, but I walk slowly. So it's just like, you get to define and choose what your experience of life is. And so,
Yeah.
really getting clear on what is a different meaning that I want to give to this.
Totally. Okay, so you brought up a couple of things I'd love to briefly tap on. I love how you're like, okay, how can I shift my perspective? What would this person think? And that you're now talking the game of frequency. Because when you, okay, so we have a problem, right? And Einstein's, I'm pretty sure it's Einstein that said this, where it's like you cannot solve the same problem from the same level of consciousness, same frequency. And so what you're tapping into is a different radio station, a different frequency, a different perspective, essentially going from if we're ground level in New York, what do we see? We see a lot of tall buildings around us. We see people. If we're shorter, we like just see their shoulders. We see a lot of taxis, all these things, right? And I can be in the exact same spot, but if I take you up to the penthouse and I'm having you look down or on a balcony, you're in the same geographical location, but you're seeing way more. Oh my God, there's a pool over there. Wow. Okay. This is where the path I can walk through. And so being able to shift perspective is a superpower. And I can hear people being like, Danya, this is just toxic positive or gaslighting yourself or spiritual bypass. It's not. What's happening is you're expanding what you have a pull from in terms of just shifting perspective. You're not saying don't feel the emotions. If you get triggered, again, the triggers, the activations are there to show you where we may have some things that are unhealed or definitions that aren't aligned with your higher self or where you're going. So they're there to be what I would say to someone as like a check engine light. When you're driving a car, if the gas comes on, you're not like, oh man, you might in the beginning, but actually that's a really good thing because now you can fill gas in your car before you're driving down a highway and you run out of gas and now you're in a worse situation. So I want everyone to begin to see like the emotions and the mind drum and the physiology are your check engine lights. And like this is actually a really good thing. It's showing us a couple of things. One, where your old paradigm is now butting up to your new paradigm. So your old identity, your old comfort zone, what you know, what you're comfortable with, what you're just regulated to doesn't mean it's the truth. It doesn't mean it has to stay this way. It's just showing you where your comfort zone is. And as you step into that new identity, that version of you, which I love you brought up, like what would the version of me who has a really healthy relationship with my body think? Okay, how would she see the situation? Would she do these things? You're accessing the frequency of the version of you that already exists. We can go quantum physics if you want here, but essentially with the understanding of like every timeline exists right now. And if you want to look at that, research more because we don't want to go too much.
Well, I want to pause and I want to say I did do an episode on quantum leaping into food freedom.
Okay,
So
good.
anyone who's listening to this,
Good.
April 23rd, go back, listen to that episode. People loved it. And we talk about how to
Beautiful.
quantum leap into the new identity. So just wanted to
Beautiful.
say, but we'll come back to you.
Good. No, I love that. That's awesome. And I think what will be helpful for me, because I'm like, what are you talking about, Danya? It's think of when you tune into a Netflix show or like, no, say you're going to the movies. Okay. So what helps me anchor things into 3D is like, what do you mean every timeline can exist? Because if you have a, like kind of any sort of issue with that, it's going to be hard to be like, oh, I'm just going to access my future self. And hold on, we're not faking shit. We're just helping you access something that already exists. How does it already exist? Okay. Quantum physics, movie channel. You're going to the movies. You're placing your attention and intention on that movie screen. Okay. Now, when that movie's playing, does every other movie stop playing across the world, or is every movie playing at the same time, simultaneously? The answer is they're all playing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that concept, is recognizing, well, this is the current paradigm I'm experiencing right here. This 3D, like, is my attention's on it, my intention's on it. I'm just repeating the same thoughts, same actions, same beliefs. So my 3D reality is just like old chewing gum. It's just what was, and I'm just experiencing now right here. But you can access, which you did a beautiful episode on, quantum leaping of, well, what would the version of me, how they think, how they decide, how they see this situation, circumstance. And if you can shift your perspective, get on the balcony, you can pull from more experience, more knowledge, better questions that are going to help you align with that timeline of where you want to get to.
Okay, so now you understand that was part one, and you understand why we couldn't just stop there. There was just so much more that we wanted to dive into. So I know that you are probably just like a little mad at me, honestly, that you're going to have to wait a week to listen to part two. But trust me, it is so worth it, because next week we're talking about the comfort of struggle, why you might be afraid of letting go, why there is a hidden benefit to staying in your current disordered relationship with food. So you're going to want to stick around for that. All right. As always, share this episode with someone you think could benefit from it, and send me a DM. Send Danya a DM and let her know that you heard her on this podcast. Send her a follow. You'll find all of her information in the show notes. And just thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magna Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.